I believe the W needs to move on from these characters, or at least keep them in check. What are the odds that the day after I make a video saying that the league, the WNBA, needs to move on from characters like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, we have an incident in which Alyssa Thomas is suspended. Phoenix Mercury played the Indiana Fever last night again in Indiana. They won that game. A lot of people are going to say it's because Caitlin Clark had to go out with a back injury. An injury, mind you, that the league has been soft launching since the beginning of this season. And now everyone's zeroing in on a play in which Alyssa Thomas was going after the ball after Caitlin Clark had turned it over, and she made incidental contact where her hand was on Caitlin's neck. Mind you, if you saw what transpired in real time, Alyssa Thomas is just trying to get up off the ground after Caitlin turns the ball over. And even afterwards, she tries to avoid stepping on her when she gets up. Obviously, this is not a player who intended on harming Caitlin. But here you go. You got the sports commentators. They slowed down the play and they're slowing it down, and it makes it look worse than it actually is. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, sounds off on this after the game is over.
I mean, the fist in the throat is crazy. It's crazy. It's dangerous. We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called. And I just say, again, absolutely unacceptable.
But didn't you coach Alyssa Thomas some seasons ago where she yanked Angel Reese out the air with her hand on Angel's neck? That led to Alyssa Thomas getting kicked out of the game with a flagrant 2 foul. However, she wasn't suspended. So what you mean to tell me is the league went back, looked at this play, and decided that Alyssa Thomas had malintent. It was unnecessary. At this point, it's clear as day the WNBA caters to Caitlin Clark, because I didn't see any commotion last season when Sophie Cunningham grabs JC Sheldon by the neck and throws her to the ground. Where was her suspension at, WNBA? You didn't suspend Caitlin when she doesn't make a play on the ball and pushes Angel Reese when playing the Chicago Sky. The irony of the WNBA having the nerve to promote this no space for hate last season. Yes, the WNBA is a space for hate. Then the Indiana Fever have the nerve to put out a statement talking about player safety. The Indiana Fever, where players like Alyssa Thomas have said they have never received that sort of bigoted treatment before in their life. The rabid fan base who has harmed players like Sanaya Rivers, Alisha Gray. I've listed players in the past who were harmed because of Caitlin Clark coming into this league. She is a detriment to the WNBA as we know it. As long as the league and all of you Clark supporters continue to cater to her, the league will not be safe for other players. That's not just black players. I told you about JC Sheldon. I don't know what we as fans can do. Obviously, you can boycott games, but that's going to harm more players than just Caitlin, who has her Nike deal with that whack shoe looking like Mystique or something from X-Men. Plain, just like her personality and her voiceovers on her commercials. The girl has a personality of a fish, yet y'all hype her up like the greatest thing ever. She is not. So I'll close by saying, Alyssa Thomas, keep your head up. This is some BS. Dude, I might have to be like Cheryl Reeve and send another email. Oh, and another thing. It hasn't escaped me that the media outlets out there are trying to paint this narrative that Alyssa Thomas is this big old black woman who harmed this damsel in distress who happens to be European American. We see what y'all doing. It's not cool. The headlines are very misleading.
It seems to me that the WNBA is taking a highly conservative approach to how they're handling different things in the league. Caitlin Clark, they're treating her like the Donald Trump of the WNBA. She basically has preferential treatment. And her, along with her delusional fans, believe that anything goes with her and anything goes with the Indiana Fever. In the WNBA, by suspending Alyssa Thomas for the flagrant 2 review, is showing that they have no problem enforcing certain things that go on in the game that they wouldn't necessarily give to other players on other teams. And they're doing it right in front of our face. They playing in our face with this. And it is very disrespectful. They don't care. They obviously value their white audience or white conservative audience over anybody else. They're using Caitlin Clark as a centerpiece to push an agenda to, I don't know, whiten the league or make the league more conservative. I guess the league was just a big opportunity to be exploited from day one. A lot of people said, the WNBA is nothing but black and gay women. And that was the reason why it wasn't profitable, which is not true at all. They have no statistical data that back that up. The WNBA has always been valuable. The problem is the proper sponsorship and monies were not allocated or used to support this league. But now all of a sudden it's so profitable because you've inserted Caitlin Clark into the fold. And let me just break this down. They talked to Kathy Engelberg about the so-called rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and she tried to compare it to Magic and Bird. But let's keep it honest in the buck. First of all, Magic and Bird, race was never inserted into the equation with Magic and Bird. Everything was centered around competition. Of course, people are going to pick their sides and amongst themselves based on race, but the national media never used race and decisive rhetoric to justify why two people should be pit against each other. The national media never came out and said, oh, all these black players in the WNBA is jealous of Larry Bird. That never happened. Look, Larry Bird earned his spot in the WNBA because he was wickedly good. Caitlin Clark is good, but she's not great. And she's not even the best player in the league. When Larry Bird came to the league, it was arguable that he, along with Magic Johnson, was the two greatest players, the best players in the league at that time. It's totally different. And on top of that, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are two different positions. Caitlin Clark is a point guard, shooting guard, whatever she is, and then Angel Reese is a big. She's a front court. She's a post player. Totally different game. Two totally different things that they bring to the sport. And I just hate the fact that from day one, the WNBA has used race and used this whole narrative that these girls is jealous of her. They never had no data or no proof to back this up. And this was basically ran alongside of this whole Trump rhetoric. That's why it's caught such fire. I think the WNBA seen that the MAGA crowd or the conservative white crowd predominantly took to Caitlin Clark like they took to Donald Trump. And they was like, we gonna take this and we gonna run with it. They feel like any press is good press. If it's bad or if it's drama filled or negative or controversial, they feel like it's gonna benefit the WNBA in the long run. But it doesn't always work like that. It doesn't always work like that. The WNBA and the NBA are two different leagues. I know it's basketball, but it's not going to play out the same way. Me personally, I believe that they should have, acknowledge Caitlin Clark. I'm not saying she shouldn't get acknowledged, but to come in, but to bring her in and allow her to just skip over all of these great players, past and present, and put her on such a high pedestal without her earning it first was a great mistake, a big mistake. Now, a year or two later, you have Paige Beckers and you have people like players like Olivia Miles, etc., Kiki Rice. Look, now it's time to pivot. Now you're going to have to spread the wealth. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Putting all your eggs in one basket with just one player that's, to me, has not earned her spot rightfully amongst everybody, just her particular fans over everybody, to me, I think it's not a good business model. It's not. The WNBA has gotten way too conservative with the officiating and how it carries out certain things in reference to players and how they promote players. I just think it's ridiculous. I think they're going about it the wrong way. And if they're not careful, they're going to lose more support than they've gained within the last 2 years.